revolutionizing business coverage in the United States. We kind of turned it into a football game.
And there's no doubt about that. I mean, Tom, as we start to wind down, this episode of our 76 Capital Sports Leadership Show, and it's been great having you on and hearing about all the things that you've done so far, in your career. And I know there's more to come. What would you say are some of your most proudest moment so far has been?
Well, I think revolutionizing business coverage in the United States. We kind of turned it into a football game, that it's covered minute by minute, stock trade plays, what's going on as market news breaks, commentary around it, really covering it. Very different than general news, but every day is a new game day in the market. Sports is part of that, an increasingly important part of that, as the entire media industry is. And creating that notion that you can be part of each market game day, almost as if it is a new football game you're coming to every morning, I think really changed the entire character of business news coverage and brought with it an understanding on a tick-by-tick basis of what makes everything from sports to AI tick as an industry. And hopefully AI's contributions to all that and Versant's contributions to all that will only expand over time.
I have to ask you, real quickly. I mean, how do you pick the right talent? To be able to, as you said, with CNBC, it's like a football game every day. I mean, you bring how do you kind of figure out who the right people are that are going to be able to be the right hosts and deliver the news or deliver and broadcast the game? How did you have an eye to figure that all out?
Well, there were people who were much closer as producers of shows than I was in terms of making a lot of those decisions. But first, you got to have the expertise, and then I think you've seen in both CNBC and MSNBC, as you were showing here with this podcast, a conversational ability to be able to draw out of others something interesting, so that it isn't as if they're showing up as stiff on air interviews, but instead people who know how to push, pull, and extract information in an interesting, informal way. And that's television, I think, has very much evolved into formats that are far more engaging as people have a better and better sense as to personalities that can do that versus people who used to be just great at looking at a teleprompter, reading what was fed to them, and knowing how to throw to an ad. Things have come a long way since those days.
Well, they certainly have, and I really appreciate you joining us on our 76 Capital Leadership Show. And the last thing I have to ask you is, what does it mean to be a leader? I mean, this is our leadership show, and you've been a leader of so many different networks and so many different types of companies. What are some of the things that you make sure that you talk to your teams about?
Well, very important not to do too much talking and do a lot of listening. There's time for talking, but generally, if you've picked the right people, you got people who are more expert on everything they do than you are. And the best thing you can do is listen and then synthesize. I find that the attribute from law school that I most carry forward is you always had to take a semester's worth of cases and synthesize that into something that gave you a fuller perspective on what law in a given area was. And if you can synthesize your best inputs from your team, then be in a position to have people understand why a particular strategic vision, a strategic path makes sense, you're much better off than being somebody who leads by thinking they know all the answers and know better than those others in the room.
That's great. Well, thank you again, and thanks for all your help over the years. I mean, I still, love the time we spent together with Brian Musburger when we were building VSiN and talking about, we were trying to create the CNBC of sports betting, which we in fact were able to do. And you gave us some really great tips and pieces of wisdom. So thank you so much, and best of luck on everything that you do.
Well, congrats for 76 Capital and all it does. And I have to say, Philadelphia is turned out to be a more winning sports city than New York. So congrats to all, and maybe your namesake 76ers will have a better year. They're the lagging franchise of the Philadelphia Crew.
Well, I certainly hope so. Thanks again.
Thank you, Wayne.